akusa things, that there's no...
No, don't do that. You have to be able to do things.
Or like if you say a din of akusa, it's not like the melech has Bibles.
Okay. What time should I instead?
Just stop. Just go.
Okay. So the topic today is a very kosher mishpat related topic, and it's the also in the spirit of Shavuos coming up. It's about Lo Tachmod, about the 10th commandment. So everyone knows this. Or Lo Tachmod is a simple issur. You're not allowed to try and get something that belongs to someone else. Contrary to what most people think, Lo Tachmod is not an issur that's something hashkafic or something like that, but it's a practical issur. You're not allowed to ask someone to sell to you something that doesn't belong to you. And it's when you ask him and you finally get the object, then you're over on Lo Tachmod. But just to think that you want something from someone else is not a midah tova, but it's not included in this issur. There's in Shmos you have the issur of Lo Tachmod in the Aseret Hadibros, and in Dvarim it says Lo Sisave. So the Rambam and the Sefer HaChinuch count Lo Tachmod and Lo Sisave to two separate isurim, two separate lavim, and the question is what exactly the difference is between Lo Tachmod and Lo Sisave, but that's that we're going to see later. The question that I wanted to deal with today is, assuming that Lo Tachmod is a prohibition that has to do with acquiring something from someone else, what's the din if it's not something tangible? Like we see all the discussions about patents and if there's this or gezela in copyrights and things that aren't tangible, the question is there Lo Tachmod on something that's not tangible? For example, let's say you want someone's job and you try and work really hard to rid them of that job and that you get the job. Is that a violation of Lo Tachmod? Or let's say you know someone has a very good patent or a good book or anything like that and you really try and get it. Is there issur Lo Tachmod given that it's not a real object? So that's the question. So again, obviously there are things that might be mutter in the laws of Choshen Mishpat, but still it's horrible to do it. The Gemara in Sota says, whoever Misha Nosen Einov B'Masha Eino Shelo, even what he has in the end they take from him. So in terms of midos, of course, you're not allowed to try and get something that belongs to someone else, but the question is there issur d'oraisa? What's the nafkamina if it's included in the issur d'oraisa of Lo Tachmod? Well, there's A, whether you were over the issur, and B, also the halacha is, the Minchas Chinuch writes that in order not to violate Lo Tachmod, you're obligated to lose all of your money. So if a person's going to lose all of their money, or is going to violate Lo Tachmod, so you got to find out, meaning if they have the choice of either losing all of their money or being over Lo Tachmod, they have to lose all of their money. And the question is this included in that situation? So for example, let's say a person has the choice of begging someone else for their job and trying to get someone else's job, or trying to get someone else's patent, or trying to get someone else's credit card, that's on the one hand, or on the other hand they're going to lose all of their money. What should they be doing? It's also important to note that this comes up in a lot of situations that are halacha l'maisa. I think Rabbi Willig may sympathize with this. When people come and ask for donations, people come and say, "Can you please give me $100,000?" and they beg and they cry. They say please. So the question is, in a normal world, that would be an obvious Lo Tachmod because they are asking for money that is not theirs.
Isn't it only if you're mafzer al berayim?
Ask Rabbi Willig if they're mafzer or not.
Oh, mafzer. The phone rings. Let us come.
So the question is, if the donor would be sitting with lots of pieces of silver in their house or pieces of gold, and the person would be asking, the pashtus is that they would be over Lo Tachmod. But now they're asking for a check or for a credit card donation, Question is, are they over lo Tachmod in that situation?
Say lo Tachmod if you're doing it for like a tzedakah or for
So those could be mitigating factors, but first of all, a lot of times the people are asking
you're
for
not
themselves.
chomed mom chaver.
No?
Sorry?
Can't really sachmed on the matzah.
There can be. Okay, so we'll take a look at this quickly. So the Gemara in Bava Metzia that Rabbi Bleich just mentioned says lo sachmod leinshe below dami mashmalahu. People think that lo sachmod is only if you take something that doesn't belong to you without paying any money, and there's a machlokas rishonim on this topic. The Tosfos and the Smag say that really that's the halacha. If you give money, there's no problem of lo sachmod. So if I beg someone for their car and promise to give them $1 million, and I finally give them $1 million, according to Tosfos and the Smag, there's no violation of lo sachmod. But according to the Rambam, the Ravid, and other Rishonim, even if you do give money, then you're over on lo sachmod, and it's only amaratis. It's a misconception. People think that if you don't give money, you're not over lo sachmod. But in reality, according to the Rambam and the Ravid, you are over lo sachmod even if you give the money. It's important to note that even within that camp, there's a machlokas because according to the Ravid, that you're only over lo sachmod if the person didn't say roitzani. But if you beg the person to give you something, and finally after the person is harassed, they give the object that they're being begged for, and they say, fine, you know what, I decided to give it to you. According to the Ravid, there's no Isser lo sachmod. So really the Rambam is isolated here. The Rambam is the only one that holds that if a person begs another person for something and pays them for that, then they're over on lo sachmod. But it's a nevertheless important opinion since the Shulchan Aruch follows that position and says in Choshen Mishpat Shin Nun Tes, HaKoifes chaveru limkor es shaloi v'noisen lo domav osur, aval ein lo din gazlan li posel le'edus miduraisa elo midrabanan. So he says ein lo din gazlan. However, the Sma says that this is following the Rambam's opinion that even though you're not nifsal le'edus, it is lo sachmod miduraisa, and this is the position of the Beis Shmuel in Even Ezer Simin Chavches as well. The Sma notes, however, this is not like the Ir Shushan. The Ir Shushan holds like the Tosfos and the Smag, that as long as you gave money, it's not, you're called a Chamsin, but it's not a violation of lo sachmod d'oraisa. So in the regular case, to sum it up, in the regular case where a person begs someone for something that they really want, an apartment, a car, and ends up paying them, according to the Rambam, you're over, and according to the Sma, Beis Shmuel and Maharshal, and according to the Ravid, if he didn't say roitzani, you're also over, but if he said roitzani, you're not over according to the Smag and Ravid. So I'm actually honored that Rabbi Rosenzweig is here with us because there's a fantastic article by Rabbi Michael Rosenzweig about this in Beis Yitzchak, volume 19. And that it pertains to the following chakira. The chakira it actually was a really helpful source. The chakira, you can make a chakira about the isser of lo sachmod. Is lo sachmod choshen mishpat type of isser? Is it telling us that in order to protect money, not only are you not allowed to steal something from someone, but you're not allowed to take it when they kind of want, when they don't really want to give it to you, but it's almost gezela. Is it a problem in it that it's almost gezela? In which case that means that lo sachmod protects owners. The rule of lo sachmod is there to protect owners of property, to say not only you can't steal from them their property, but you also can't almost take it without them really wanting to give it to you. Or, on the other hand, you can say that lo sachmod means that it's a isur in hashchasas amidos. It's a din in the person who's begging, who's coveting, and the Torah says that you're not allowed to covet something that doesn't belong to you and really bother a person for something that doesn't belong to you. So that's the chakira. So it seems clear from the Rambam that the Rambam says, he has a very interesting lashon that people really elaborate on. The Rambam says, "Kol hachomed avdo o amoso o beso o kelev shel chaveru o kol davar she'efshar lo sheikneu mimenu harei ze over." So the crucial words here are O kol davar she'efshar lo she'ikneu mimenu. It sounds like anything that you can be koneh, you're over lo sachmod. But if it's something that you cannot be koneh, then there's no isser of lo sachmod. So it seems clear from the Rambam that lo sachmod is not a din on the person who's being chomed. It's not a din in hashchosas amidos of the person who's trying to get the object, but rather it's a din in protecting ownership and protecting the owner. That's clear from the Rambam. So if we follow up on that to the case of people who come and beg for money or beg for things that don't belong for them, it seems clear that not only would there be no Isser because it seems like there would be no Isser because it's not something that is bar kinyan, although one can argue on that. When a person asks for a check, Rabbi Bleich, am I wrong? When a person asks for a check, that's not something that's bar kinyan. Is that something that can be argued?
He wants the check or he wants the money that's in the bank?
Either one. Neither of them are bar kinyan. What?
Money in the bank?
Yeah.
If it's a chayiv, so the writer start chayiv, we see him, and see him be marked for the chayiv.
So okay. So then okay.
It's not a dover, but you can there is such a thing as
Right.
as selling the chayiv.
Mm-hmm.
At least behind the shloshton, the rabbanon.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then I guess the next question, if you don't focus on the Efshar Sheikneu lo, the next question is there lo sachmod on a matana? Meaning we know that the Rambam says that it's something that needs a kinyan, but so what if it's you're asking not to buy something, but you're asking for a matana? So it seems clear that you're over lo sachmod even by a matana, since a matana is no worse than gezela. The Rambam says that if you take something from someone bal karcho, not only are you over lo sigzol, but you're also over lo sachmod, because you wanted something and didn't get permission to have it. So if you're over lo sachmod by gezela, then of course you're over by matana. This should seem obvious to all. However, it's fascinating to note that the Sfas Emes and the Imre Emes both are of the opinion that there's no Isser lo sachmod in matana. They're quoted in Rabbi Tzvi Frommer's book, Eretz Tzvi, and he holds that you are over lo sachmod by matana, but the Sfas Emes and the Imre Emes hold that in matana there's only lo sachmod from a midas chasidus. So
what does that mean? There's no lo sachmod by matana. Say I'm a master bereim that you give me your car by matana.
Right. So So the Sfas Emes, Imre Emes, and Rav Moshe Sternbuch don't hold that you're not over on lo sachmod in that case. Because
I persuade you to give me your car by matana, and there's no.
Right, no lo sachmod because there was no kinyan involved. I guess
makna your car to me.
I am makna the car, but I gave it to you.
With a kinyan, no? How else do you give it to me?
Right, I also am inclined to think that there's no that it is lo sachmod because, like I said, it's legora from gezela, but it's in Eretz Tzvi Siman Gimel, and they hold that that's that there's no
What's the case that they're discussing?
He's speaking about I forgot the case, but he has a long story there, I believe. But I think he just quotes this Sfas Emes and the Imre Emes, and at the same time he also quotes that Rabbeinu Yonah holds explicitly that you're over in matana, and that it's also clear that the Chafetz Chaim holds that there's Isser lo sachmod by matana because the Chafetz Chaim says that chassan before he gets married, if he holds off the shidduch and pressures the father-in-law to give him a lot of nedunya, then that's a violation of lo sachmod. So that's clearly a case of matana, and the Chafetz Chaim is clear that you are over. But at the same time, the Sfas Emes and Imre Emes hold there's no lo sachmod. So the next question that has to do with chemda by a donation, if it's something, it's a davar she'eino mesuyam. So let's start with example. Let's say I come to your house in the ancient times, where before credit cards and checks, and I say, please give me a piece of clothing, or please give me some food, but I don't specify which piece of clothing or which food. Or let's say in the case of cars, you have a lot of cars, and I say, please give me a car. is there Isser Lo Tachmod in asking for a car or a shirt? Or would you say that there's no Isser of Lo Tachmod unless you ask something specific? So the Ben Ish Chai is of the opinion that since it's not something specific, then you're not over Lo Tachmod. In order to be over Lo Tachmod, just like to be over on Gezela, right? You can't steal something that's not specific. You can't steal a thing from someone. So too, you can't be over Lo Tachmod on a thing. If you see someone has a car and you ask him for a car or a shirt, there's no Isser of Lo Tachmod. But Reb Tzvi Fromer in Eretz Tzvi Siman Daled holds that since at the end of the day you want something from your friend, then there's a Isser of Lo Tachmod, because at the end of the day you're getting something. So I would suggest that maybe you can be mechalik, that if you just want something valuable, then there's no Isser Lo Tachmod, because there's really nothing that you're asking for. If you just say, please give me something, I'm dying for something, then it's very hard to say Lo Tachmod. But if the guy has a pile of shirts, and you say, please give me a shirt, even though you didn't point at any specific shirt, it's hard to say you're over on Lo Tachmod. I'm sorry, then it is likely to say that you're over Lo Tachmod, since you're sof asking for a shirt, and whatever shirt you end up getting, you're over Lo Tachmod, but you can discuss this. The case Reb Tzvi Fromer is discussing, I just realized, is that he's talking about a case that is related to tzedakah, and he does say that if it's a case of explicit tzedakah, then you can get into kofim al hatzedakah, and you can be asking for tzedakah. And there's another kula with that, which we'll discuss later. There's a fascinating tour. The tour quotes the Rambam exactly. Quotes the Rambam in Halacha Chesen Tes. The Rambam brings the lav of Lo Tachmod and Lo Sisave, and he speaks about that not being chomed the house, the property, the wife, and so on. And the question that should be obvious, the question or the raya that should be obvious, is if the pasuk says that you're over Lo Tachmod by your friend's wife, then of course you don't need a kinyan, because how's it possible to be chomed your friend's wife with a kinyan? Right? You can't. The wife doesn't belong to the friend for him to be makne her. Right? So has a shaykh to be over Lo Tachmod by a wife, unless we say that you don't need a kinyan, like you were saying, that you don't need a kinyan, because how would it be possible to be over Lo Tachmod with a wife? So the Bach, commenting on this quote of the Rambam, says that in general the Isra of Lo Tachmod you would think applies only to a place by Maisa Kinyan, and that's why the Rambam has to go in Halacha Tes and speak about Lo Sisave and the case of a wife, because that's something that you cannot be that you can't be getting with a kinyan. So it's clear from the Bach, who elaborates on the case of Lo Sisave Eishes Reyacha, and he says that is also codified into the Torah Shulchan Aruch, that you don't need a kinyan to be over. So again, the question at hand is, are you over Lo Tachmod in a case where it's not shaykh to have a kinyan, where let's say it's something that's abstract, and the raya from the Bach would be that since you're over on Lo Tachmod in the case of a wife, then of course you have it also in cases where there's not a kinyan possible, and but that too relates to another very fascinating and geshmaka machlokas. The Haflah has a big machlokas with the Rabbi Yerucham Perla on this topic, whether you're over Lo Tachmod in a case where you didn't do any Maisa Kinyan.
Is the shaila whether you're violating Lo Tachmod on something that's not mitfas bekinyan, or whether you violate Lo Tachmod if there was no kinyan in the way you took it?
So I believe that
It could be that it's something that's mitfas bekinyan, but you got it somewhere without a kinyan.
right. So even though it seems obvious that, because I think there is a source in the Rishonim that by Gezela you're over Lo Tachmod, I believe that is the machlokas of the Haflah and the Haflah and Rabbi Yerucham Perla. What if a person takes something without
A
a kinyan, yeah. What if you just, let's say, rob it? Not that it's something it's not shaykh to have a kinyan on, but you take it with no kinyan. Another example could be not only that, but let's say a person gives you a pikadon, and you decide to keep it in your house. Are you going to be over lo Tachmod or not? Because you don't have a kinyan.
Oh, there's some kinyan, I guess, from the shiur.
Right, and there's a case of oshik where you just don't let the guy into your house. Anyways, there's a fascinating mechilta that's really interesting and relates to this topic very strongly. The mechilta says, mechilta de Rashbi Parshas Yitro Yud Zayin, Yochol lo yisavel bito lenot lo Talmud lomar eshes reyecha ma eshes reyecha sheyasur alecha af kol davar shu asur lecha. So you see from this that lo Tachmod does depend somehow on the hilchos choshen mishpat, that it can't just be something that's abstract, but it has to be something that you're expropriating from one person and getting it into your property. It's not just about abstract things, and the Mechilta de Rashbi continues and says the following: Yochol lo yomar halavai eni ke'eno halavai se'ori ke'se'aro. A person, maybe you would think from lo Tachmod, shouldn't say, I wish my eyes would be as beautiful as his eyes, I wish my hair would be as beautiful as his. And in that, the Mechilta continues, Talmud lomar shoro v'chamoro avdu v'amaso beso v'sadeu. Ma'elu miyuchodim dvarim she'efshar lahen lavo tachas yodcha v'chavero chaseran. It's also going to be something that your friend is lacking. Af en li'elo davar she'efshar lo lavo tachas yodecha v'chavero chaseran. Which is clear, like the Rambam, that if you take something that you're not mechaser someone else, and it's not a real taking, then there's no isur of lo Tachmod. This would mean that in the case of, and again, there's definitely room to discuss this and dissent, but it seems clear that definitely in the case of a job, where a job or a, we'll get to patent, but in the case of a job or a something similar to that that's not tangible, if a person is chometed, there's definitely no isser of lo Tachmod. A, because it's not something tangible. B, it's not included in efshar sheyiknehu. That's what I would suggest. Is that reasonable?
Takes a number of portions, assuming that there is such a thing as a patent. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking your patent. You made a mousetrap, and I watched you, and I learned how to make a mousetrap. That's l'sachbe. I'm a monkey see, monkey does.
Right. So the other place this comes up is something that's similar to Anya Mapach.
For the jobs.
Jobs? That's only the Mapach B'chara. I know what jobs are.
Right. Yeah. So similar. Yeah. That Anya Mapach B'chara is where it comes up, where someone has a job and another institution or whoever it is comes in and buys that person out.
You should pose the question where you have, once upon a time, a shaykhut. It was called a chazokah. You could sell it. That was a job that was nitin l'mechira. How, when, where, but some other time. But in Maisa, people used to buy it. Used to buy these things. So it had a shabbos of one kind or another.
And that would be included in the efshar sheikneu?
That's your chapur. I don't know, Eshitnei, not Eshitnei, I don't think they were really kinyanim on these things. But you at least have something to talk about. You're dealing with the case, they want the boss to fire Reuven so I can get the job. It's a different trial altogether. That's your Tachmod Shel Chavera, But if you want to leave it as simple, like Tachmod, there's a guy, he's got a nice, easy job. I want such a job, so I'll talk him into selling me his chazakah. So can there be a Tachmod on that? That's a nice stick here.
Yeah, so it seems from that mechilta of Yochol Yomar Se'ori Ke'Se'aro Eini Ke'enoi has to be Ma'elu Dvar Miyuchodim Dvar She'efshar Lohen Lovo Tachas Yodecha, which this doesn't seem to be. V'chavercha Chaseron Af Ein Li'elo Davar She'efshar Lo Lovo Tachas Yodecha V'chavercha Chaseron. So it would seem that the all the job cases, if you just read this Mechilta,
Not
are
always. If you assume that you have some right, some chazaka, so I want you to retire and sell it to me.
and that would be davar she'efshar lo tachas yodcha.
If you consider this something which is nitan l'bechira and matana in one way or another,
Mm-hmm.
and I have rights to transfer, why not? Maybe it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that it's stam with face, whatever it is, then maybe not. I don't know.
Okay, so then that's, I guess, also still up for debate. Another reason to say that there is no Isser Lo Tachmod on this, that is brought up, is that the human being always has ownership on themselves. So you're definitely not. You definitely can't say that the employer is over on Lo Tachmod. If two accounting firms are fighting over an employee, there's no way to violate Lo Tachmod because the employee owns himself. He has the liberty to do whatever he wants. So it's not shaykh to say Lo Tachmod because of Kilib Bnei Yisrael Avodim or whatever it is, that no one has a bias on a person.
And he gives a long-term contract and he violates Kilib Bnei Yisrael Avodim, and maybe there would be an Isser Lo Tachmod.
On the other firm,
Paul has a long-term contract.
yeah,
He violates Kilib Bnei Yisrael Avodim, right?
he violates. He's not in violation. He's allowed to pull. He can be
More
Porsche.
than 3 years.
Yeah, it can be more than 3 years, like the Mordechai.
Something.
Right, so if you hold it, you're violating the Isser Kilib Bnei Yisrael Avodim, and it's a
Mhm.
contract for more than 3 years, and maybe there would be an Isser of
On the companies. Interesting. Okay. And then above that, the reason that it would be hard to say Lo Tachmod in a lot of modern cases is because it's hard to say that credit cards are a form of mamoshes, although Rabbi Baich says it's similar to a choiv that can be sold, and there is a...
It is a chol, no?
Yeah, and therefore there should be Lo Tachmod in it, right?
What's the least amendable? Well,
Like the case I mentioned before of a check or credit.
It's not a credit card. What's the difference?
I was just saying that although it would seem like there's no Lo Tachmod on it because
I know what Lysop on the check is. I want you to write me a check. What's Lysop on the credit card? I want you to give me your credit card.
no, I want a donation, meaning you can do a bank transfer or an online donation. There are many. Money is all in the cloud in a lot of these cases. So if a person asks for a money transfer of $1 million, another example could be related to what comes up sometimes in nadins or gittin, right? The chassan or ex-chassan ask for a large amount of money. So that money that's being asked for is not being asked for in the form of anything other than numbers that are in the bank. So that too would be this.
That's a much broader issue than what you're talking about. The shaila is what's in cyberspace.
Right, correct.
Is there money in cyberspace?
Correct.
Or is it smoke and mirrors?
Right. So, yeah. So then that I guess is the question if this considered.
Maybe
a
only
whole-
6 will be able to do what it's not.
Yeah. So then I guess the next mitigating factor in mishulachim or people that come and ask for donations is what if you have a chemda with a third party. So for example, let's say I want Rabbi Willig's car, but I'm not going to ask him on my own. So I ask Rabbi Rosenzweig here to please go do me a favor and ask him and be mishadol him and marpid b'dvarim. So I wasn't over because I didn't ask anything, and you're not over because you don't want it for yourself. So then you can say also there's no Isser Lo Tachmod since the person in the actual the person in the actual party is not the person that's being mishadel is not getting it for himself. So that there's opinions both ways, and it's very common, and it unfortunately sometimes plays out in a very unfortunate way in real estate. So a lot of neighborhoods always complain that people are constantly knocking on their door asking them to sell their houses. Something that seems like an obvious violation of Lo Tachmod. However, it's important to note that would depend on the two ways of looking at this question, that the person who's knocking on the door is not getting the house usually for themselves. It's usually a real estate agent. So you can say that maybe there's no direct violation of lo Tachmod since the person that's knocking on the door is not getting it. It's however important to note that the mashmos of the Rambam is that you are over lo Tachmod in that case, because it says kol achol medavar shel chaver, etc. Vehechbid alav bereim vehiftir bo ad shelakocho mimenu. So the simple case of lo Tachmod seems to be described in the Rambam, where one is asking via a third party. So
But not exclusively, in the case of Rambam, Tachmod alav reim and hiftir bo.
Correct, but why would
So he's
hiftir alav
also
reim?
involved as a first party.
But
Correct.
the Ram doesn't say the reim or whatever. That's, maybe yes, but it's not.
Yeah,
the
so in the case of a mishulach or someone who is fundraising, the mishulach is definitely, or the real estate agent, he's definitely not over because he is not the one that is
Yes.
Go back a step.
sorry?
The reim.
Yeah.
That they would be kindness ends. Is he over anything?
The reim?
He's
The friends themselves who are.
No, they're not over.
Okay.
So, but the yeshiva that's sending them, or whoever it is that's sending them, would be.
Believe me, they probably certainly are over.
Could be.
Rabbi, I'm here just so Rabbi Willig, I'm here just so Rabbi has what to tell these people. It's not. Another problem in the case of real estate or fundraisers is that they get a cut. So that could be a problem because they are really asking for themselves. When they're begging for the door, at the door asking for a house, they are getting a share in that, so that is, that's sort of a form of lo Tachmod. So I'll just conclude with what, from looking at all this, what my impressions were, but the conclusions are, again, easily debatable. One is that there's lo Tachmod not just b'mekach, but there's also lo Tachmod with a matana or stealing something, and therefore a person cannot ask for matana. Another thing is that it seems clear from the Rambam that lo Tachmod is specifically with a real tangible thing, like a house or an object. However, credit cards and checks and things like that or even patents, even though it's a terrible midah to do so and to beg someone for something that doesn't belong to you, nonetheless it would not be a direct violation of lo Tachmod.
And that includes a chov.
I'm sorry?
There's no lo Tachmod on a chov.
So Rabbi Bleich pointed out something that wasn't on my radar, which is you can sell a chov, and in that case it would be davar she'efshar sheikneu
Can it be
mimenu.
a deraisa for selling something that's nitzvas b'kinyonin only midrabanan?
Making a derabbanan. Okay. And then in the case of not asking for something specific, there will not be a violation of lo Tachmod. So if a person is just asking